we can also leverage this to accelerate the closure of that gap that's been happening for centuries between countries.
In terms of your background growing up relating to Haiti, what benefits do you think AI could have for that country? But also what drawbacks could there be associated with the growth of AI? You know, could it perpetuate inequality more? What are some of future visions associated with that?
Yeah. So for me, my biggest fear could be also the biggest opportunity, right? Biggest fear is in a sense of, are we also thinking about the underserved? How are we thinking about AI? Is it to focus on, if it's going to be at the hand of people who have resources, or they're going to only serve their needs and not think about how to leverage that to close the gap for the ones that are already behind? And the fear there is that the gap that already existed cross country will only be wider. So where in a sense of countries will be further ahead than others. So there was this gap, then the gap becomes like this kind of thing in terms of technology capabilities and things like that. At the same time, if you have, as a human species, if we want to do well, we want to leverage AI for social good, we can also leverage this to accelerate the closure of that gap that's been happening for centuries between countries. One thing that I see for Haiti, for example, is help Haiti close the educational gap. So nowadays, countries like this are more open to online trainings, on-device training. It doesn't have to be just sitting in a classroom to learn something, et cetera, et cetera. So in this case, how can we leverage AI for education? And another impact too that would be good for countries like Haiti is how can we leverage AI for agriculture and distribution too. One of the biggest issues that we have over there right now is even though the agriculture is not a strong point, but for the existing piece, can we have an infrastructure that helps us distribute what we already have? And then once we fix that infrastructure piece, can we go further into increasing the volume of agricultural goods that we can produce on a national scale? So those are the things that I'm hoping that AI can do for countries like Haiti.
I love that. And I mean, obviously the education is something that I always am very focused on. Something beautiful about AI education is you can learn pretty much everything online for free. It's open source like that. I mean, you need a computer or you need a cell phone, but I would argue that almost everyone in the world now has access to, or that's a false statement, but significantly more people than before have access to a cell phone technology, those types of things. Yeah. And to me, there's tremendous power in just knowing that you have those resources available. And in some ways, technology is a great equalizer because it's more and more about what you can do than about where you're from or the experience you've had. Mm-hmm. If you build an incredible thing online, you're going to get recognition and someone's probably going to hire you, frankly. Right. Yeah. And to me, especially in countries that are lagging in resources or opportunity, a new internet economy, new AI economy, it doesn't level the playing field, but in some ways, education-wise, it 100% makes these things accessible when they weren't before. Yep. So I'm excited for that aspect. I'm a little scared about some of the other, the scarier inequality type things. But I also think that the larger inequality issues with relating to like employment and those types of things are going to happen after the positive benefits of new information and more efficiencies at with resources and those types of things happen. So my hope is that we learn enough in the short term and create enough positive systems with that medium kind of burst of AI technology that we can figure out the real scary stuff when the time comes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you bring up a great point. My hope is that, while we talk about, or a lot of people are concerned about job elimination, we're hoping also, a lot of people are banking on this, that it will also create a lot of jobs that would kind of like create a level playing field, more or less. And with that, that would require a lot of the, population retraining as well. That should come with that. So appreciate it.